And just a little housekeeping. Please say hello in the chat by typing your name, organization that you're affiliated with, and your role right there in the chat box. Please stay muted throughout all of the presentations, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat, and we'll read them aloud and they'll answer after the presentation. All right, so on our agenda today, we have a presentation called Navigating Body Image and Eating Disorder in Today's Youth. This will be presented by Itzel Ruiz and Omar Graves, both wellness counselors at the Mental Health Association in Ulster County. And this will be followed by a presentation by Beth Albright, Director of Ulster Corps on volunteerism and service opportunities throughout Ulster County. We'll do a very short, hopefully fun stretch break, and then we'll move into our facilitated networking session. So you all can keep introducing yourself in the chat, and we will move to presentation 1, Navigating Body Image and Eating Disorders in Today's Youth. I'll stop sharing my screen and let Mental Health Association take it over.
All right, thank you, Nanette.
Yeah, of course.
Let me share my screen real quick. Can everyone see that?
Yes, looks
Perfect.
good.
All right. I appreciate the thumbs up, Stacy. All right.
Awesome.
Well, welcome everyone. It's good to see all of your faces. Let me exit this out. Okay, perfect. Thank you for, attending. Thank you for coming. I hope everyone came here with a lot of peace, a lot of joy, and just good energy today. I just want to cultivate good energy. I want to exit this out too. Okay. I wonder if it's because I'm co-host, but we can put it back here. But yeah, welcome everybody. My name is Omar Graves. I'm a wellness counselor along with my wonderful counterpart, Itzel Rios. We work at the Mental Health Association in Ulster County. We're a community center, in case you haven't heard about us. We have a bunch of programs. We have a respite program, which is for, middle school and high school age students to come and seek, services and activities and support with our respite workers to kind of get a break from the things that may be going on in their lives. We also have a day program as well, our wellness program, which is really like the crux of what we do, which is a program for, people who may have mental health issues or diagnosis and things of that nature to come and do activities and build social emotional skills within the community and amongst each other. And then it's us, the wellness counselors. And so we do a lot of the support groups and non-clinical counseling and really just connecting people to other organizations and services in the county to kind of help social emotional health and overall well-being. And so we'll be doing the empowering youth body positivity. Uh, I don't want to speak for you, Itzo, but I think in our experiences, especially like in today's climate, uh, body image and eating habits is something that is very confusing and stigmatizing. And I think it's just a symptom of the culture we're in. So this presentation will kind of discuss the culture that we're in, kind of go over solutions and just ways to kind of engage youth in body image discussions and eating disorder discussions and just promote, uh, more better mental health. So we can go into this. So what is body image?
Process. What you have to do is you sit your partner.
So body image kind of encompasses a lot of things, cultural, physical, emotional. So body image is thoughts and feelings. So how do we feel about our body? What do we think on a day-to-day basis, right? I think for a lot of, younger people and even adults as well, we see a lot of comparison, whether through social media or our peers in school, right? So that can really inform how we feel about ourselves and our body and the ways we treat our body and take care of our body, right? When body image, we go to size initially and how our body looks, quote unquote, how pretty we are, but not like skin color, right? What race are we? Or ability status and presentation, right? So maybe how able-bodied are people, right? And I think that goes into like disability discrimination, right? And that's all a part of body image and how we feel about ourselves. This all encompasses that, and it can play a role into our self-esteem as well. So if younger people are comparing themselves and they're in a culture where a certain body image or certain kind of lifestyle or aesthetic desirable, and they feel like they can't attain that for whatever reason, it can really affect, younger people's self-esteem, right? And what they feel about themselves, and it encompasses mental health as well.
Yeah, so hi everyone. So a lot of the things that Omar was saying, there's things that influences body image. When a couple of those things can be like media, social media, there's a lot of influencers there promoting certain types of body sizes, promoting a lot of you know, their what they call their let's look our let's look a day of my life, and they introduce themselves with like, oh, this is what I do in the morning, this is what I eat, this is the amount of times I exercise. So when the youth are like being introduced to all of that, and social media is there's there's a lot of stuff that goes on there, they their brains are like little sponges, so they absorb all of that, so they create this narrative in their mind that this is a way that they're supposed to be living, that they're supposed to be, you know, um, just being able to live their lives in a way that based off of social media. And it comes into like culture. When we come together, there's a lot of when it comes to culture, there's a lot of stigma around. Like, for example, I grew up in a Hispanic household, where the food is really delicious, and you're supposed to accept all the food given to you on the plate. If you're going over to like a friend's house or over family's house, and if you are, um, sorry, if you are, give me 1 second. Sorry, I lost my train of thought completely. Omar, if you want to jump in real quick, you can go for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Culture, I grew up in a Hispanic household too, and the food is really delicious. And we'll talk about a little bit later, like our relationships to food kind of all connect to our body image and the ways we feel like we should aspire to be and the ways we feel like we should look like. I think going on to that is like family environment too. So how our family's culture is, the kind of lifestyles that we live as a family, or is it an active lifestyle? Is it not as active of a lifestyle, right? How does your family talk about food in the household, right? So do you have to clean everything off your plate, or are you able to say leftovers, or what is the culture around just like saving and throwing away food, right? Uh, our peers too. So in school, like as mentioned before, how how do peers treat each other? How do they view each other? How do students kind of interact with people who may quote unquote have less desirable uh, bodies, right? In accordance to like our school culture in America. Uh, and then I think what we really were discussing, what we really wanted to focus on is providers and language, right? So as providers, working on the community level, we see a bunch of different kinds of people coming in with a lot of different things that are going on. And I think one of the themes that people come in with is this kind of dynamic with providers, where providers, of course, there's a power dynamic there, but I think the power dynamic kind of make people that come in feel uncomfortable, right? And maybe providers in the past may have talked to them in ways that they feel like they're being talked down on. So I think, body image and by extension, our mental health, right? The way providers kind of educate and discuss these issues with their clients, and the language that is used is very important, the way things are framed. And it can influence body image if it's framed in a negative way.
I got this one, Omar. Thank you. My train of thought just went away. But leading back to that, that could lead into negative body image and youth, and that could, as you can see on the screen, there's a lot of things that can alter it when it comes to like low self-esteem, unhealthy body weight, that it being like overweight or underweight, different mental illnesses such as depression, anxiety, substance use, and eating disorders, something that we're going to discuss about today. I don't know if you want to click again, Omar.
Yeah. So what is positive body image, right? So if we have all these, things that can be called as negative body image, and I think, the words negative and positive, I kind of, I have like feelings on that, can kind of cause a stigma if we're labeling things as negative and positive, but this for the sake of the presentation. Positive body image can be an evolving, healthy relationship with a person's body, right? So instead of framing things as positive and negative, or maybe framing things as a way that kind of puts yourself down and maybe like build self-esteem issues for youth, how can we engage in open discussions that kind of promote, maybe my body is, if we're talking about maybe like losing weight, right? For a student that wants to lose weight or for a young client that wants to lose weight, instead of having, strict guidelines surrounding that, right? How can we create a relationship where it's more accepting and more healthy and positive, right? To a youth's development or to anyone's development of their body image and how they feel about themselves. And I think this all comes back to balancing and being able to help young people kind of discern opinions from culture, family and friends, the media, social media especially, and really create healthy discussions and transparent discussions around dieting and bodies and self-esteem.
So with that being said, let's focus on like how can we, as providers, how can we create a positive body image? How are we able to, be able to talk to the youth or even just, adults that come to us for support? So a lot of it is just creating a safe environment that may look like, creating a warm atmosphere, asking them like if they want water, the temperature of the room, that all takes into place when we're trying to connect with a person, letting them know that they're welcome and that they're safe and that one can be trusted, right? So that way it gives them opportunities for open communication. And in that sense, that trust is built and then an opportunity for them to be able to be a little bit more open and being aware how we, Omar talked about it a little bit earlier, being aware about how we talk to our clients or the youth, how we making sure that we are reframing our language where it's not uh, so stigmatized or around like mental health or like just like our for them, and then just being able to model transparency for them, letting them know like what's going on in their and especially the youth, what's going on with their bodies, they're ever changing, so that way it can help with them um, have a better understanding of like what's on with them and knowing that it's okay whatever it is that they're going through and have an opportunity for them to be able to talk a little bit more about themselves and build that onto them. So another thing is that encouraging them to listen to their bodies, especially like when they're hungry or they're full. A lot of the times, when we have a plate on in front of us, we want to make sure that we finish all that's on our plate. Or we might grow up that way, thinking that we have to finish everything. We can't waste food. Let them know that it's okay. That if our body's saying that like we're done, that it is okay. Um, and being able to reframe negative self-talk, like young teenagers, they are very vulnerable to a lot of like bullying, and that can take a toll into low self-esteem and negative self-talk. So being able to catch that when you guys are having a conversation with them and to say, hey, let's try to talk to ourselves in a more positive way. Hey, can we reframe the sentence instead of saying, oh, I hate myself, like what do you hate about yourself? What can we, what do we love about ourselves? How can we demonstrate more care, more gratitude towards ourselves, that our body is just being able to do its own thing where they're trying to stay alive, right? Another important thing is to be actively listening to them. it's important to not just like nod our heads and just say, yes, I hear you. It's more for like repeating after like what they're saying and acknowledging that, we acknowledge them and that we want to understand and want to be there for them and support them, and also just encouraging body diversity, encouraging that all bodies come in different shapes, sizes, and to encourage that we are all human and that we are ever growing. So our bodies continue to change over time.
Yeah, but perfect. And I think one thing I kind of tie this all together is just naming the feeling, right? I think a lot of the times, like with the puberty point, like, puberty is confusing, but body and change is confusing and it can be scary, especially when we feel like we have to look a certain way or feel like we need to do X, Y, and Z in order to fit in and in order to be appreciated and loved and accepted. So just naming that feeling, right? Like, yeah, it's really this time is really confusing and it's hard to feel like you don't fit in compared to your peers, but really affirming, their body image and extension, their self-esteem, that it's okay to have these feelings and let's explore this together and let's see what our bodies can produce. Like what does your body do now? Kind of naming the things that young people may be proud of. One thing I did in school was something called body neutrality, right? And this may look different for, younger kids, but body neutrality is like, what does my body do that kind of serves me in everyday life? So what is something that cannot be considered service level? So maybe something like, oh, instead of like, I like your hair, something like, hey, like I got up out of bed this morning and my body helped me walk to school and take the bus. So kind of reframing how your body helps you every day into the things that may be considered more service level. I think it's an interesting concept that kind of takes away from uh, things that maybe our mainstream culture may uphold and encourage and kind of brings it back to something younger people and by extension us may be able to control and appreciate more. And so now we have eating disorders. So eating disorders, from what our experience is, treating on a community level, eating disorders and body image are can be in relationship with each other, right? I think, for younger people especially that are in this culture that has all this environmental factors, right? About, how should I look? I need to be a certain way. I need to do this to fit in. Or maybe for sports culture, right? I need to make a certain weight or I need to be a certain level of athleticism to be able to perform or it can all be very filled with pressure for a young person. And if this pressure and all these like effects can get to them, it can kind of push them into, you know, obtaining an eating disorder, right? And although it is environmental, sometimes it is genetic as well. So, your parents play a factor, how you're raised and things of that nature. Uh, Disorders like binge eating disorder, or avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, anorexia nervosa or bulimia nervosa are things unfortunately kids can't pick up over time if, body image and self-esteem if things aren't addressed and kids aren't getting the support they deserve.
Mm. When that comes into play, we can break it down into three things when it comes to like risk factors for eating disorder. Biological, psychological, and social risks. As you can see on the screen, when it comes to like biological, it could be like with close relatives or family with an eating disorder or mental health condition. When it comes to psychological, it can be like perfectionism, uh, cognitive inflexibility, impulsivity, emotional dysregulation, avoidance, motivation, body image dissatisfaction, mental health, substance use, and then social risks, weight, stigma, acculturation, bullying, internalization. All these are some of the factors that youth can like internalize or can start showing some signs when we're um, connecting with them. So just being able to be aware about that. I don't know
Yeah.
if you wanted to add something else, Omar.
No, that was good. Yeah. I think like going off of that too, like that's so all those three factors are just so overwhelming, right? It's a lot for, for providers for us to kind of take on and be aware of at once while treating so many students or young clients. And as a being a young kid as well to, you know, try and look a certain way or to try and feel a certain way and like take care of school or like if you have siblings, there's just so many cultural factors that could be overwhelming. Uh, so it's important to start with things that can start at home, like simple things, right? Uh, we have things like self-esteem enhancement, psychoeducation, gratitude, uh, things that, younger people or kids can take home and really practice on their own. So things like, you know, what are some things I can be proud of, or like body neutrality, like how did my body serve me today? Uh, More taking it broader to mental health, right? Just being more aware of their mental health, or may younger people be feeling in a way that's kind of comprehensible and approachable to them, right? Uh, so those are things like, ooh, sorry, a brain fart. Those are things like, what did I do today that was helpful? What did I do today that was beneficial to me? It's all about kind of getting into the younger students' level, right? Being in a relationship with them and understanding what what is bothering them and how can it be supported and taken care of in a way that's manageable, attainable, and longevity and productive to them. Uh, of course, broader things like CBT, right, or different kinds of therapies can be helpful long term for people to develop relationships with food and for body image issues and other mental health things, right? We have things like fitness training, which is a funny word, but developing a better relationship with your fitness, right? Staying staying in shape or going in for a walk or doing things that kind of keep you active, right? Can kind of create, bolster your mood, right? And create a better relationship within yourself and increase self-esteem. Media literacy. So understanding that, what you see on social media or what you see in schools uh, may not be indicative of most of the population, right? So when you see media literacy, kind of discernment of, hey, this is not like how most people look, or this is not how I should look. Or even if, these people do look like that, it doesn't mean I have to look like that. And kind of, like I said before, kind of building that level of discernment. And then these last two bullet points about accessibility to food. That's, of course, harder, when we consider where students may come from all the different backgrounds. But with the food that is accessible, try and provide some kind of education or psychoeducation about the relationship and how you engage in those foods and things of that nature.
Yeah, and also to be aware, like what can we do with the clients or like the students that way they can still be engaged with us and being able to continue that open communication with us, knowing and acknowledging that they're ever growing. So lesson changing perspectives, making sure that you know their goals are they still the same or are they changing or acknowledging those things, encouraging if there's new goals coming along, body image perspectives, knowing again, emphasizing the fact that because of puberty, because of that, they're growing, their bodies changes. Also acknowledging that because they're growing, nutrition comes along with that, how important it is to acknowledge that and working on affirmations with them, making some positive affirmations may include or may look like, a lot of I statements, being able to give them a little bit more grace as to like their growth and acknowledge that there's culture change.
Yeah. And so MHA does what we do with eating disorders is that we have an eating disorder coalition. And so it's a conference and kind of like a community networking event that we have 2 times a year. We have one coming up this winter in December, and we just had one this last fall. But it's a place for providers in the Hudson Valley and in the wider area to connect and engage in ways with our panelists, with our presenters, and ways to, you know, support younger people and all people going through eating disorders or body image issues and things of that nature and come up with new ways to support them and connect, right? We also have mindful eating support group. So we have a support group for people who are experiencing some of the things we talked about today. And this group meets virtually and they connect and, support each other and find commonality in some of those struggles. And we also connect with other organizations as well. And we have workshops and, everything in between. And I don't know how familiar people here are with wellness recovery, but that website is a website we help build that has a list of so many resources in the Hudson Valley, not just eating disorders, but case management, mental health, community events. And that's a good website that, to go to in case you're looking for more information about this.
And we also encourage looking at these different types of websites, learning more about how to connect with the youth, being able to understand like where they might be coming from. So if you want to, I can definitely highlight, put these in chat uh, and in a minute, and to definitely check them out.
All right, and then this is some of the research we did, but thank you all for, engaging with us and participating and learning with us. So,
Thank you so much. That was excellent. I will open it up to any questions or comments. Feel free to come off mute or put anything in the chat. And while we're waiting for potential questions, I just want to say I really appreciate the like body neutrality perspective that you were talking about rather than trying to like immediately jump into body positivity. It could feel so like negating of people's lived experience. So I really appreciate that perspective and trying to cultivate like that. What can your body do rather than like what do you look like? Um, so that was one thing I really appreciated.
So
yeah, thank you.
I have a question. Like, so do you think that um this way of thinking, because I loved your presentation, do you think that perhaps more medical providers will start thinking this way? Because I find, even in my own experience, there's a big focus on weight, right? When you go into the doctor, the
Mhm.
first thing they do is weigh you. Um, and so I'm just curious if you think that um, things in on that perspective may change into a more positive direction. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Um, I think one theme that we're getting at in our presentation that a lot of this is just so like cultural, right? I mean, since we were born, we have all these ideas that we learn about our body and our weight and what's quote unquote good weight and bad weight, right? Of course, there is, for people who have medical issues or things going on, like weight is so some people need to be a certain weight to be healthy and to be alive, right? And that's totally valid and that's totally, a necessity. That's totally okay. But I think, for medical providers, right, start kind of having the and, right? Like how we were talking about body neutrality, like what does my body do for me? Well, maybe I can't be positive about my body, but my body got me out of bed this morning and that's enough. Having that and so okay, so maybe you might have to lose weight or be a certain weight. And that doesn't mean that you are, less desirable. These might not be words medical providers may use, right? But less desirable or less productive or, any kind of negative connotations or spins about it. I think, like, I encourage all providers to kind of foster a more warm culture around weight, but I think it may take a long time to get to that point.
I'll also add to that. So, this week it was Weight Stigma Awareness Week,
Hmm.
and I had sent out to the Google group a couple webinars that were happening. So I'll try to dig through and put them in the chat too, because I think some of the webinars were geared towards providers. Yeah, good
Perfect.
question. Any other questions?
Hi, I just wanted to mention I had read some resources about the role that parents play in the influence of developing, your body image and your self-esteem. And I can't remember the source, but it was sort of directing parents to have that neutrality about themselves. So rather than like being judgmental about, if they honestly feel that they are overweight or underweight, not labeling and speaking about it in front of the children during like developmental, when they're growing, so that they don't learn that judging behavior. And it talked about, trying not to judge other people. And so not, saying, hey, look at how skinny that person is, like, and sort of like healthy at any size, like just seeing people for the other attributes. So I think that that is so helpful if parents can learn that they make such a difference with their language. I would love to see some kind of curriculum built into the preschool education. So I don't know. It's just one of those root causes that I figure if we can start early and do parent education, then maybe there'll be less people who grow up to hate themselves.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
absolutely.
Words are very powerful, and like it can take a domino effect in regards to like how we speak to our children. We do have like a parenting group that can help. Omar facilitates the group.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that's such the good point. It does, a lot of this stuff does start at home. I think for that parenting group, and I think just for like parents and specifically, just like we were all saying, like language is like so important. And what kind of culture and environment are you creating at home where kids can feel empowered in themselves, but also empowered to have conversations to be open with parents or people they perceive as like authority figures, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all so much. That was excellent. And I feel like really brings up a lot of rich discussion that we could talk about for hours, I'm sure. Um, that was really good, very pertinent, and a good follow-up to the professional development training we had back in July on like focusing on weight neutral health. We are going to launch a very quick Zoom poll before jumping into the next presentation. Anna, if you wouldn't mind, thank you. And this just helps us make sure that the presentations we give you are relevant. So once we have 100% participation, I'll end that and then we'll jump right into our next presentation. All right, we are very close. 87%, couple more. All right, perfect. Thank you all. And now we'll move into presentation 2, volunteerism and service opportunities throughout Ulster County. And I will stop sharing my screen and hand it over to Beth.
Hello, I'm going to try to start sharing my screen. Can you all see that okay?
Yes.
Yes, and you can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I have shared with many of you that public speaking is one of my great fears and definitely not one of my great strengths. So thank you for bearing with me. And thank you for being here today. I know some of you are very familiar with Ulster Core, and I don't know, maybe there's some of you who are not familiar with this at all. But we try to be welcoming to everyone, people who have volunteered their whole lives and people who are very new to volunteering and people who've lived in Ulster County their whole lives and people who are brand new to Ulster County. And I'm just noticing that okay. Ulster Core, we got our start in early 2009. A small group of committed volunteers launched Ulster Core to bring other volunteers together with the organizations in Ulster County that rely on their help. Um, What's happening? Oh, okay. Sorry. So we are a county-wide resource dedicated to promoting. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. This is background noise. We're a countywide resource dedicated to promoting a culture of volunteerism, collaborative work, and community service. Our mission is to facilitate successful and effective volunteer placements, educate about volunteerism and best practices, and build collaborations among nonprofit organizations, local government agencies, and businesses engaged in community involvement throughout Ulster County. And while we work with volunteers of all ages, we have a deep commitment to working with youth in community service and leadership. Seem to have a little delay.
There's always some sort of technical difficulty. I could also share my screen if it doesn't go forward.
Oh, there. No, it went
Perfect.
backward. How we went backwards.
Oh,
Is that yours that we or?
no, that should be you. So you can maybe either click, but sometimes the arrow buttons on the keyboard will also.
Trying the arrows. So weird.
I think the computer probably heard you when it said you were nervous with public speaking. It was like, I'll help you
Make
out
it as
here.
hard as possible because it wasn't hard enough just doing it. I don't know what's going on. Oh, maybe. Oh, okay.
There we go.
Yeah. So, so how do we connect? So we have our website, ulstercore.org, our monthly newsletter and action alerts, social media, volunteer fairs, expos, table find volunteer opportunities and also for other agencies to add their volunteer opportunities to our website. And that includes both one-day volunteer opportunities and ongoing longer-term opportunities. So here are just a small sampling of one-day opportunities on the left and some of the recent longer-term opportunities on the screen on the right. We also list opportunities by agency type and by skill set, and geographically with a variety of different maps of volunteer opportunities. So if you're an agency, you can also list your volunteer opportunity on our site, just adding a listing. We also have an agency directory. If you're not on this directory and you would like to be, please do be in touch with us. Our monthly newsletter goes out to over 4,000 people. Here are a few recent newsletters. And again, if you have one-day opportunities or trainings or longer-term opportunities you'd like us to share, please be in touch. We also do action alerts. We have sort of U team and people who've specifically subscribed that they want to learn about one-day opportunities and last-minute great volunteer needs. So again, if you have those sorts of needs, let us know and we will do our best to find volunteers to assist with those things. And of course, we also list those things on our social media, Facebook and Instagram. We also table at a lot of volunteer fairs, expos. We do 3 annual events. So in January, we do a Martin Luther King Day celebration of service, bringing volunteers together from all different nonprofits in the county to honor their service and the spirit of service. In April, we do an annual service summit, which is really focused on more academic aspects of the work and value of volunteerism and collaborative projects. And then coming up is our annual zombie escape, which Stacy knows about, which is now in our 15th year. And that's just mostly a fundraising event. So this was our MLK Day celebration. It's usually about 200 people at the Rosendale Rec Center, so right in the middle of the county. And it's a wonderful community celebration and meal with food from all sorts of different local restaurants. And our service summit. which I described before. So this last summit was focused on housing issues, affordable housing. Previous one was focused on climate change. And that's held at SUNY New Paltz. And we mentioned our zombie escape is a really fun way to come together as a community around Halloween. There's a 5K run, 2K walk, and free 1K. If you would like to join us to participate in it or volunteer or sponsor, that would be great. We also do a number of different collaborations. I'm just going to talk about a couple of them today: the Farm to Food Pantry Collaborative and Generation to Generation. So Farm to Food Pantry is a collaboration between Family of Woodstock, the Rhondda Valley Growers Association, and Ulster Corps, addressing food insecurity by engaging local farmers, donate locally grown produce, and training volunteers to glean, process, and distribute nutritious food to the network of food pantries, feeding programs and shelters in Ulster and surrounding counties. Since we started in 2009, we've distributed over 1,443,000 pounds of produce. Last year, we distributed 130,000 pounds from 23 different donors to 51 different food pantries, shelters, and meal programs. And here are some more photos of our volunteers in action. We were actually, this was from a year ago, but we were actually this is at Marlborough High School kids, high school students gleaning at Prospect Hill Orchard, and we were just there with them again yesterday. They gleaned over 3,000 pounds of apples yesterday. It was amazing. We also maintain these maps of food pantries in both English and Spanish. And again, if you notice any things that need to be updated, please be in touch with me. And then we also have our Generation to Generation Living History Project, which connects senior citizens and students for the purpose of forging meaningful connections and ultimately documenting the living history of Ulster County's senior community. Ulster County's youth volunteers work with project staff to gain competency in interviewing, recording, and interpersonal skills. Based on the successful program that took place in 2009 through Ulster Corps entitled Harvesting a Lifetime, seniors are paired with high school students and college students and develop a comfortable relationship with them, get to know one another, and ultimately collect the pertinent stories of the senior's life. So we are just starting another round of that, working with students at SUNY Ulster. So we are looking for seniors who would like to be interviewed. Ideally, we're really hoping this time to focus on folks in the community who've been volunteering for a really long time. We'd love to have the focus specifically this time be on stories of service, people who've been volunteering for a long time. So if you do have volunteers at your organization or you know of folks that you think might like to be interviewed, please let me know and we will get them connected with the program. And then, finally, word of mouth is if you can help us get the word out about volunteerism in the community. You can visit our website, subscribe to our e-news, join our Facebook group, like and share our social media posts, join our Glean team, and volunteer. And that's my presentation, which I think was substantially shorter than 20 minutes. So I guess there's plenty of time for questions. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Beth. That was really chock full of information, condensed. I will open it up to questions before I jump in with my own. Let other people have a chance. Or feel free to type them in the chat too. But in the meantime, I was wondering, you mentioned working with the SUNY Ulster students, and is this kind of like a core group of volunteers you get through them, or is there a core group of volunteers, or is it really just utilizing your website and like getting matched that way?
I would say it's both. So this would be a new project to working on Generation to Generation through SUNY Ulster is new this right now. We have worked with SUNY New Paltz students and SUNY Ulster students for a long time. So wonderful collaborations. We do have, some folks who've been volunteering with us since the beginning, who are really regular volunteers. We also get folks that need to do community service hours. So it's a whole gamut, people who are new to the county and are just trying to connect, people who maybe just have a few hours. Obviously it's great when people can volunteer long-term, but some people, just happen to have an afternoon free, and usually we can find something to engage them with. We are right in harvest season, so we're really busy right now with our gleaning program. So we're gleaning apples, usually on Mondays, in Highland, tomatoes on Tuesdays, and Saugerties, flowers on Wednesdays at Hudson Valley Farm Hub. And those are all things that people can just show up to when they're free, if they happen to be free at those times. There's also a ton of events and community events, festivals coming up that can all use volunteers. So those are just a few things.
That's excellent.
Hi,
I feel like it's such a needed service. Go on.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, hi, sorry. Hi, Beth. Barbara Hill, Ulster County Community Services Board, and other volunteer things. Big question. I've been meaning to call you. I'm very aware of the Medicaid work requirement that's coming up, that people, in order to maintain their Medicaid, they have to have 20 hours of paid work or volunteer service or community service. So that's going to kick in maybe a year from now. And I thought it was very important to, when I tell nonprofits this that have a lot of people on Medicaid, they go, oh my God, let me see what I can create, volunteer opportunities or community service opportunities. Not sure exactly how that will, what paperwork that will require, but I think that's something we all need to have our eyes on in terms of, is there a pool of community service positions that our Medicaid recipients can tap into a year from now? They actually have to show that they've been doing 20 hours of that kind of, some kind of work, probably 3 months before it kicks in, January 2027. So like right about now is when people will have to start demonstrating it. Those that are so-called, what our friends in our administration called able-bodied. So I'm just throwing that out there because I thought of Ulster Corps as like, and does this make any sense?
Do you
Yeah.
provide like some sort of documentation for the hours that people have volunteered? Is that a
Yeah,
good way to kind of summarize it?
yeah. Like, I don't know how that's going to be defined in our county, but our county is going to have to ramp up and hire more workers at DSS to handle this churn that's going to happen for our folks on Medicaid, and hopefully not have to throw too many off. So yeah, so I'm throwing that out there because it's something that we're all going to have to be aware of. And the fallacy is that already maybe 2/3 of people on Medicaid already do work. They do it, they desperately need the health insurance. But yeah, I'm throwing it out there because we all need to start thinking about this.
Wait, one thing that it makes me think of, Barbara, thank you for bringing it up. It's a really important point. And, I mentioned that we do a service summit every April, and we are not sure what our focus is going to be this April. So I wonder if that might be something that we could all come together, because that's sort of the idea is, here's a challenge we're all facing. How can discussing it together come up with some good solutions?
That's a fabulous idea. I will work with you on that.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds great.
Because you have red hair. You're a ginger like me. I'm a dyed
Indeed.
ginger, but it still qualifies.
Well, we were
Ah,
once, I was once a real ginger and now I'm also a dyed ginger. So we're
yeah,
so in good
I'm a
company.
thoroughbred ginger. All right, I got to jump off, but I'm going to be in touch with
Yeah, be
you.
in
But
touch. Definitely. That would
hi
be
to
great.
everybody on the call. And Omar, great presentation if you're still on. All right, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Excellent. What great discussions that are being brought up. Does anyone else have any questions for Beth? We have something in the chat. Thank you, Beth, for all you do to keep this program going. So much, much appreciated. That was from Christine Noble.
Thank you, Christine.
Excellent. Well, if any other questions come up about either of the presentations, feel free to put them in the chat, and I will share my screen.
And I'll just highly recommend the Zombie Escape because it is a fun day and you can do an easy walk or you can really, do the 5K run. While you're doing it, there are actual volunteer zombies that will jump out at you. So it's quite the thrill.
It's
And
the
we do have
motivation I
families
need.
where, yeah, we do have families that, the kids like to be zombies and the really young kids do the 1K. So it can be a nice mix. We also do have like a sponsorship level, which is a team sponsorship. So you don't have to do any money. You just recruit 9 of your friends, so 10 people or more, and we will put your logo on the backs of the shirts. So, if Healthy Ulster or anybody was interested in doing that, that's another way of being a part of it and supporting our
Amazing.
work. So thank you.
What is the date of the next zombie run?
It's Saturday. It's literally a month from today. So Saturday, October
Perfect.
25th. Yeah.
Amazing. Great. I also love the website to get there, zombies.ulstercore.com. I think that's excellent. Alrighty. And now we will launch a second Zoom poll really quick. Much appreciated for your input here. 83% people answered. We're waiting for a couple more. Alrighty. And now we will do a short 2-minute stretch break. And the reason why we do this is any meeting that goes over an hour, or if you're sitting for more than an hour at your desk, it's really beneficial to just stand up. They say sitting is the new smoking, meaning it's really bad for our health to be sedentary. So I think it's a fun video that's like more of a like a brain break. I invite everybody to stand up to do it, but if you're not, do what's right for you. Feel free to turn your camera off, and if you don't want to participate in this video, that's also totally fine. But I encourage you to move what feels good for you. All right, sharing sound. And we're just going to do the first 2 minutes of this video. Okay.
Exercises to improve neuroplasticity. This will be a 3-step exercise. First, make a fist, then make a hook fist, then put your fingers out straight, and repeat.
Was it the voice? Was it the fire burning in me? All of the noise turned into choirs of harmony. Left me with the beat.
To fire up those neurons, try to do it faster.
But since you left me alone, I've been high.
Exercise 2. Place one finger of your right hand over 2 fingers on your left hand, and then alternate. Let's do it faster. Exercise 3. Make a fist with the left hand and an OK sign on the right, and then alternate. To boost up your memory, try to do it as fast as you can.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I hope you had fun with that. I always find them so challenging in a good way. Um, and now I'm going to share my screen once again. Back to the PowerPoint. Slide. Now a shout out to our Healthy Ulster Google group. If you're not already part of this group, feel free to email me. My email is here on the slide, but I'll also put it in the chat. This is a way that you can have access to all of our members to share and receive the latest research briefs, program updates, professional development opportunities. So you're able to email the group and talk about your own upcoming events, but also receive information from everybody else. It's very easy to join. So if you're interested, please let me know. Our collective action. So a few of us met last August to further discuss the weight neutral health. Like I said, there is the weight stigma awareness week going on right now. So there's some other great professional development opportunities there. And they also put out like social media campaigns and other kind of talking points. Some of it is geared directly towards healthcare providers, which I think has come up a lot in conversation. So I will share out those resources too. And our November meeting will next be meeting on November 20th from 2 to 3:30. We will get an update from the Ulster County Inventory for Health. I think Suzanne is on this call now, but she is a new hire, temporary employee here at Cornell Cooperative Extension, and she has been working very diligently on updating this inventory that gives a very wide overview of all of the programs and policies that are happening in Ulster County related to health. And we'll also hear updates from Dr. Eve Walter, Public Health Director at the Ulster County Department of Health. So I hope you all can join us then. It will still be on Zoom. And now we're going to move into our networking session. So this is a facilitated discussion where you can briefly share your organization's upcoming program or event. The rules of engagement, we want to keep it short and sweet. I'll call on you to share, and you can state your name and organization. And rather than kind of focusing on everything your organization does, it's really helpful to just hear about one or two things that are coming up, and then you can share other things in the chat with like your organization's website. So I won't launch our Zoom poll yet until we hop into our network session. So I'm just going to go right across my screen. And Danielle, do you have any updates or anything you would like to share?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Danielle Ciencio, Youth Prevention Specialist for Ulster Partners for Prevention here at Ellenville Regional Hospital. One thing I can update, we are having our Spooktacular Health Fair on the third Saturday, which is October 25th here at the hospital. So I did have my contact there in the chat if you guys would like to, any agency that like to join us as a vendor. It's a trick-or-treating style vendor event. We have a touch-a-truck portion of it. We have bouncy houses. We have stewards coming for free ice cream, and then we'll have all kinds of resources across the county. So I'll put my contact back in the chat for any that would like to reach out.
Excellent. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thanks, Annette.
And I'm going to move to Susanna.
Hello, I'm Susanna Pugsley. I am a program manager in community engagement at the Alzheimer's Association Hudson Valley chapter. We have our Walk to End Alzheimer's coming up on October 18th. That's the Duchess Ulster Walk. It's going to be at the walkway over the Hudson, starting on the Highland side. And so we would love to see you all there. It's going to be a great event. And I'm sure my colleague Joan will have other things to update as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Let's see. I will move to Anna.
I did want to share that we have a microplastics workshop and webinar series coming up focused on waste reduction around the holidays. So I can share registration for both the webinar series, which will start next week on Wednesday. We'll have an October, November, and December webinar, and then workshops and events focused around waste reduction around the holidays. A Halloween costume swap taking place at the Farmers Market in Kingston, the 25th of October. A wool felted pumpkin workshop making program in November, and a recycled gift tags program in December if you're interested in alternatives to plastic during the holiday season.
I love that. Thank you. Shahara.
Hi, I'm Shahara. I'm just going to speak real quick about our People's Place registration for our holiday programs. I know it's early, but we have to start our registration for Talking Turkey and for Project Santa. So, on our website at peoplesplace.org, you'll see some information, but for any Ulster County families that would like to participate in Talking Turkey, that is a simple sign up for you and your family to receive a take home Thanksgiving dinner. So you get a turkey and all the fixings that are pre-packed, and you take it home and you can prepare it there. We give our distribution the Monday before Thanksgiving. So the registration for that is going on now, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 12:30 in the morning, and then Wednesday evenings from 5 to 6:30. And that's going to go on until, I want to say, November 17th. Let's see, November 17th. So we just need a form of ID, names and dates of birth of the people in the home. The second holiday program, our biggest holiday program, is Project Santa. And that's where we give out a new bag of toys and stocking stuffers and winter wear for children up until the age of 16. And so same thing, we need a registration for that. You come, give the information, and they'll give you a time for pickup, and it also gives you the opportunity to say a little about what the kids might have that they'd like to have, so that when we're packing the toys, they will get something that they would like. And that's the same thing. That registration goes from now until December 5th. If anyone has any questions, give us a call at 845-338-4030. And these are the holiday programs registrations. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Is there a flyer that we can hang in our waiting rooms to help promote the Talking Turkey promo?
Yes, if anyone would put their email in the chat, I'll send you what we have, the flyer for those programs.
Amazing. Or you can send it directly to our Healthy Ulster Google group.
I can. You just said so I'll go ahead and do that.
Some people prefer it directly sent to them. So either way.
Okay, either or. Thank you.
Kushbu. Oh, trying to fix network issues. Okay, no problem. I totally understand. She'll share updates on tobacco control on the Google group. Thank you so much, Kushbu. We appreciate that. And I will move to Next, oops. Yolanda?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm so sorry my camera's not coming on for some odd reason.
Yeah,
Um,
we just saw like a little computer icon. That's okay.
so the Ulster County Department of Health, we're still having clinics for immunization for children for underinsured or without insurance. That's the VFC program. And we also have clinics for adults, the VFA program, underinsured or without insurance. We are working to be able to get our COVID vaccine information together. So as it comes out, we'll be able to have more information for the community. But for right now, we do have flu vaccines for adults if they need them, and then all needed vaccines for children for school requirements. We have been doing a lot of vaccinations, so children won't be excluded from school because they're not meeting requirements. So that's what we're working on now.
Great. Thank you so much. Jacqueline.
I believe that her microphone isn't working, so if she would like to say anything in the chat, she might be able to do it that way. She works in my office.
No problem. I think I
Yeah.
remember that from last time.
Yeah,
No
we're
problem
still
at
working on
all.
those technical difficulties.
Suzanne.
Me?
Yes.
Yes. So I didn't put anything in the chat, but I do want to put a little plug in for the November meeting. I'm really excited to be sharing with you about the Healthy Ulster Council Inventory for Health. I've been reaching out to different organizations and just want to provide a really exciting update for you about what's happening in Ulster County, who's doing what, and how like you can get connected, whether you need a resource to provide for your clients or you have something that you offer that you want to be able to like make sure that you're on this list. So I'll have a short but engaging presentation to give you some of the highlights of the things that Ulster County is doing really well, as well as some gaps so we can start to think about like how key stakeholders, maybe your organization or agencies, then can help step in to fill some of those gaps as we move forward. So I'm really excited. I look forward to talking with you and sharing this presentation next month. No, November
Yeah.
20th. Great.
Thank you. And then let's see. I think that now we have, oh, here, I will read from Jacqueline. Okay, and Yolanda covered most of everything from the health department with the ongoing vaccine clinics. Excellent, thank you. And now I will move to Stacy. Do you have any updates in addition to?
Well, our partners from New York Blood Center, really wanted me to just mention that there is a great need. So if anybody has the time to get out there, it really only takes half an hour. The center is in Kingston, but there's other pop-up donation places that you can go. And especially if you're O negative, you're the universal donor, that would, be great to be able to donate to anybody. But, it's a selfless act and it has such significant benefits to the recipient. And we never know when there's going to be an emergency situation and the reserves are low. So please think about finding a friend and having a little, donor date together and then treat yourself to a special lunch or whatever it is, but they do need that support right now.
I love that. I think it was last Valentine's Day. I heard it promoted as like an alternative date, like a fun date. Like what could be better than like, giving and then also following it up with, a tasty lunch or whatever. Love that idea. I will move to the folks at Mental Health Association, do you have, besides your wonderful presentation you gave, do either of you have any other upcoming events you want to highlight? Omar and Itzel? Well, maybe they had to step away. I will ask the same of Beth. Do you have anything else you'd like to highlight? I know you gave a nice presentation, but if there's anything else.
I think I covered it, but if you have questions, feel free to reach out to. Yeah, thank you.
Great. So I think I covered everybody. If not, feel free to come off mute. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time and just the rich discussion that we have around these presentations. And oh wait, really quick, if you don't mind, I'm just going to launch the last poll. We'd like to do this for our networking sessions too, just to make sure that they continue to be helpful and relevant to you. And I know a lot of people do always have to sign off at 3 o'clock for other meetings, but we still have a few of you, so I think there's one more. Perfect, 100%. Thank you so much. And I will leave it at that, a little bit early, but I encourage you all. It's a little rainy out there, but maybe you can take a walk around the office or something. And have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Nanette. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.